Ever heard of someone so dangerous that intelligence agencies around the world had to hunt him down for nearly a decade? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into the real-life story of Viktor Bout, the man who sold enough weapons to change the fate of entire countries. And yes, a Hollywood blockbuster was literally made about him. Hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon, because by the end of this, you will understand why this one man became the most wanted arms dealer on the planet. The rise of Viktor Bout. Viktor Bout wasn't born a criminal. Born in Tajikistan in 1967, he was actually a Soviet military officer and translator who spoke 6 languages. When the Soviet Union collapsed in the early 1990s, something incredible happened. The world's largest superpower was literally falling apart. Weapons that were meant to fight NATO suddenly had no enemy. Soviet military stockpiles were left everywhere, and military officers were desperate for cash. Bout saw the opportunity and grabbed it with both hands. Here's where it gets wild. While other people were panicking about the economy, Bout was buying up cheap Soviet cargo planes, the kind that could carry tons of weapons anywhere in the world. He started small, moving weapons from Eastern Europe to Africa. But small didn't last long. By the mid-1990s, Bout had built a network so sophisticated that he could deliver missiles, assault rifles, and ammunition to literally any conflict zone on Earth. We're talking Angola, Mozambique, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Afghanistan, and beyond. Bout became the guy you called if you wanted weapons to fuel a war. And people called him constantly. He wasn't picky either. He'd sell to governments, rebels, warlords, whoever had money. He'd even sell to both sides of the same conflict. If there was a war happening, Bout's weapons were probably already there. Let's be real about what Bout actually did. This wasn't some victimless business. Every single weapon he sold ended up in someone's hands. And most of the time, those hands belonged to people doing absolutely horrible things. In Rwanda, while hundreds of thousands of people were being slaughtered in a genocide, Bout was supplying arms to the militias doing the killing. In Liberia, he armed warlords like Charles Taylor who used child soldiers and committed war crimes. In Sierra Leone, he supplied rebels who literally cut off people's hands and faces. In Angola, he fueled a brutal civil war that killed millions. In Afghanistan, while the Taliban was fighting everyone else, Bout was supplying them with weapons too. The movie connection. Fast forward to 2005. A filmmaker named Andrew Niccol decided to make a movie about the global arms trade. He wanted to show how one person could change the world through weapons trafficking. He needed inspiration, and he looked at one man, Viktor Bout. The movie was called Lord of War, and it starred Nicolas Cage as Yuri Orlov, a character loosely based on Bout's life. The film showed how Orlov, like Bout, got into the business, how he became hugely successful, and how he just kept escalating his crimes. It showed the weapons ending up in refugee camps, fueling child soldiers, and creating absolute chaos in countries like Africa. At the time the movie was made, Bout was still free. He was still out there, still making deals, still selling weapons. The movie came out in 2005, and Bout was finally caught in Thailand in 2008 in a sting operation. So, for 3 years after Hollywood made a movie about how he escaped justice, the real Bout was literally escaping justice. Even more wild? When Bout found out about the movie, he wasn't happy. He complained that Nicolas Cage was nothing like him, that the filmmakers got everything wrong, and that he was actually a decent guy with Christian values. But that's what criminals always say, right? Reality check. Okay, so here's where it gets interesting. A lot of what Lord of War showed was actually accurate to Bout's real operations. The movie showed Orlov selling weapons to both sides of the conflict. That's exactly what Bout did. It showed him exploiting legal loopholes and using shell companies. Totally real. It showed him flying weapons into war zones under the radar with cargo planes. Again, that's Bout's actual method. The movie also nailed the moral emptiness of the character. Orlov tries to convince himself he's just a businessman, that he's not responsible for what people do with weapons. Bout said similar things, that he was just a transporter, just a middleman. The film captured that delusion perfectly. But here's where Hollywood got it wrong. The movie shows Yuri Orlov as this slick, charming Ukrainian-American guy. Bout was actually a former Soviet military officer and translator. The movie downplayed his intelligence connections. In reality, Bout likely had ties to Russian intelligence, which gave him protection and access to weapons stockpiles that normal criminals couldn't get. The movie also made it look like Orlov could just walk away from the business. Real Bout? He never intended to walk away. He kept going until he got caught. The fall and comeback. In 2008, after years of hunting, the DEA set up a sting operation in Bangkok. They sent undercover agents posing as Colombian rebels. When Bout agreed to sell them weapons, thinking they were buying for FARC, he was finally caught. In 2012, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Everyone thought it was over. Bout would spend the rest of his life behind bars. But this is where the story gets even crazier. In 2022, the United States did a prisoner exchange. Viktor Bout was released in exchange for Brittany Griner, an American basketball player. The moment he got back to Russia, he didn't fade away. In 2024, just 2 years after his release, intelligence agencies reported that Bout was already back in the arms trading business. He was allegedly trying to broker weapons deals with Houthi militants in Yemen. Think about that. The merchant of death goes to prison for 25 years, gets out after 10, and immediately goes back to doing exactly what he did before. It's like the ending to the movie, except it's real, and it actually happened. So, what do you think about Viktor Bout's story? Was he just a clever businessman, or something far more dangerous? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around for more stories just like this. Thanks for watching.